For today's In Detail segment, we're going to be reviewing bathrooms in townhouses, and all the examples we've pulled are from the Vancouver area.
As you remember from the slow home test, in a slow home there is an appropriate number of bathrooms and each one has ample storage, continuous counters, and no supersized features, wasted space, or awkward elements. So what's the challenge in a bathroom for a townhouse?
Well, there's a lot of challenges. I think townhouses, as we know, are often long and narrow, so trying to fit bathrooms in that are appropriately sized is a real challenge. And I think also the number of bathrooms becomes an issue because sometimes it's unclear when we have multiple floors how many bathrooms we actually need. And we see examples where sometimes there's not enough and then sometimes there's too many.
Exactly, and then there's also just the issues that run across all types of houses, the problems, non-standard layouts, supersized floor areas, no counter space, all of that.
Exactly.
Right?
So as everybody remembers from the What's Wrong with This House book, we identify some rules of thumb for bathrooms, and they have to be that there's an appropriate number of bathrooms for the size and type of the house, and they also have to have sufficient vanity space and storage.
The other two is that they should not be supersized or have oversized or unnecessary features, and that they should be situated in private but accessible locations in the plan. So you brought some examples to have a look at.
And I brought some good ones as well as some bad ones that we can review and just look at the differences. I thought this first was actually a good example. This is 3 bathrooms. So we've got a powder room on the living room level. And
near the entry, that's a good location.
It's great. It's right by the entry. It's tucked into the back of the stairs. It's private but accessible. This is a really good example of private but accessible.
Right.
We talk about that a lot. The second floor has 2 great layouts. This is sort of a standard layout, but it's got a shower, which is good. This one has 2 sinks, and I would argue that this counter is sufficiently sized for 2 sinks.
There's enough room in between those for a bank of drawers, right?
Exactly.
That's what defines that.
Exactly. So I think this is actually a really well done
It's also nice that the
plan.
toilet and the sinks are on one side and then the shower and the bathtub are on the other.
It just makes sense. Layout. It makes real sense. So now in this example, we've got only 2 bathrooms, and this is what we were talking about before, whether or not we need a powder room on this level. Now what they've done is they've made this main bath, both the powder room accessible from the hallway, plus the ensuite bathroom for the second bedroom. So in this case, I think that that is okay. You could argue from an environmental feature point of view to have an extra powder room might not always be necessary.
Exactly.
But in this case, I think the layout works.
Yeah, and the ensuite's fine.
Yeah. So in this example, we're starting to get into trouble. And this is where we're getting into trouble with the secondary bathroom. Yeah. There's not enough room here for 2 bathrooms, I would argue, in this plan. We've got a powder room on the main floor, which also has the laundry in it, which is one of those double-up spaces that I'm not quite sure about. On the second floor, it's really tight. Notice we've got a real standard layout for the master bath.
Which is okay.
It is okay, but we've got one of those corner showers. This is really only big enough to be a powder room size, and they've jammed in a corner shower. So you've got to be really careful in townhomes that we're not having sort of small bathrooms that don't really work. This is another example of the location of the powder room that's a problem. Because it's right opposite the kitchen.
And the dining area.
And the dining area.
It's just not going to
it's not good. And then this one, the upper floor bathroom is deviating from our standard layout. It's a little bit awkward. We've got a linen closet, a long counter where most of the counter is actually opposite the tub. And then the toilet and the shower are kind of jammed in. But I want to draw attention to the second floor level because this is one of those supersized bathrooms that is also the washer and dryer with a lot of floor space and a lot of doors. And they try to do this a lot of times in townhouses where they combine the laundry with the second bathroom, and I'm not sure that's always the most efficient way of doing it. So here's another example where we've got a powder room on a stair landing that is too tight. There's no way that is a comfortable way to get into the powder room with the sink right against that wall. Look at all the extra floor space on the toilet, but overall it's just way too small. The other 2 bathrooms are okay, but that powder room is an issue. In this example, we've got some 45-degree angle issues with the powder room where, again, the doors swing because it's going to be really tight to get into that. Also, look at our location against the kitchen. We see this again and again in powder rooms.
It's an accessible but very public location.
Very public location. And then our 2 bathrooms on the upper floor have non-standard layouts. Look at this one with the door swing where the toilet is in the center of the room.
Well, and you look at the toilet when the door's open.
And this one, the same situation from the hallway. They're non-standard layouts. You got to be really, really careful of those. This is our final example, and as you can see, this powder room, which is a problem because it's opposite the kitchen.
Well, it's actually right opposite the front door. You
right
at the toilet as you walk in.
Exactly, like right in line.
Right through the kitchen.
But look at the scale of this. And the funny thing is, for the size of it, they can't even get the door swing into the room because it's going to hit the sink because of where they've located it. The upper floor, I mean, this is a really...
I don't mind that ensuite. I think it's kind of nice.
It's nice. It's that sort of design sort of style. The second bathroom is fine, but that powder room is a real issue.
Okay, well that's really interesting. A lot of information there. Thanks very much. I think that the things we can take away from this is we have to remember particularly in townhouses, to make sure that there's sufficient room for the bathrooms, not to overdo it in terms of number and number of fixtures. Got to make sure that they're in private but accessible locations, and when they deviate from standard layouts, that the layouts do make sense. That's our in-detail analysis of bathrooms in townhouses in the Vancouver area.
Thanks for watching our slow home design segment.